So what do Parkinson's disease and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson have in common? Well, as it turns out, absolutely nothing. But the good news is we are talking about a medication today that is a ROCK inhibitor. Yeah, that's right. We're going to be talking about Fasudil and how ROCK inhibitors may be a potentially disease-modifying treatment. At least that's what they're hoping with the research that's being done currently. On the other side of the intro, we're going to talk a lot more about that and how it works. Let's go. Welcome to the Parkinson's Disease Education Show, where we demystify the disease and empower you as the person with Parkinson's disease to reach your true potential. The content contained on this show is for informational purposes only and is not meant to be a replacement for information or advice that you receive from your in-person medical or therapy professionals. If you haven't already, I hope you'll consider subscribing, and for an even more personalized experience, please ask us about our memberships. Now, without further ado, let's start the show. Well, I hope that introduction got your attention because this is an interesting topic. First of all, welcome back to the Parkinson's Disease Education Podcast. I didn't say that earlier, but I want to dive right into this. I'm excited about the topic. Actually, a subscriber, at least somebody who commented on the channel recently, brought this up, and I wanted to cover it because you asked about it and because you deserve to know. Now, Fasudil is a medication that is not actually new. It's been around since apparently the early 1990s to treat cerebral vasospasm following subarachnoid hemorrhage. And particularly, this was used in Japan for that purpose. So if you're not familiar with the pathology of hemorrhaging, you've got the three layers of the meninges just under the skull, between the skull and the surface of the brain. You got the dura mater, arachnoid mater, and pia mater lying right on top of the brain tissue. So we've talked about those three meningeal layers. The arachnoid mater is full of vascular tissue. And so if you have a bump on the head hard enough, you can bleed into that layer between the skull and the brain, essentially. And that can put pressure on the brain in certain spots. And in fact, it can become a life-threatening condition if the bleeding is not stopped and the clot is not resorbed by the body. So with any breach in blood vessels, whether you slice your finger with a knife or you have a bleed in the tissues surrounding the brain, those vessels go into what's called a vasospasm, which is a protective mechanism meant to clot off and stop bleeding. Now, you really don't want your cerebral arteries to have vasospasm because that could restrict blood flow to the brain. So hence there's a medication called Fasudil that's been used for that purpose to basically prevent that from happening when you do have some kind of a bleed. So again, this is a existing drug. It's had decades of research behind it, or at least as far as safety is concerned, but they've discovered a potential connection that could help with Parkinson's disease. And first I wanted to explain what Fasudil is, what the mechanism of it is, and how that could pertain to PD. So Fasudil is called a ROCK inhibitor. ROCK stands for Rho-associated protein kinase. Kinases, if you're not familiar with that, kinase is a form of enzyme in the human body, and kinases, basically they can help turn on or turn off pathways to start growth, other processes in the body, things like that. Rho-associated protein kinase in this particular case is a cellular signaling pathway that when it comes to these brain bleeds in particular, involves things like inflammation, cell movement, cellular stress responses, nerve regeneration, and immune cell activity. Now, I hope you heard some keywords in that description of the list I just read of what ROCK could potentially, the processes ROCK could potentially turn on. A couple particular: inflammation, cellular stress response, immune cell activity, things like that. Inflammation is a key one, but overall, with that overarching list of things that ROCK can do, researchers have begun to notice over the decades that excessive activity of ROCK, this enzyme, can apparently contribute to several neurodegenerative diseases, which includes Parkinson's disease. So why inflammation should have triggered your attention is because in the previous episodes we've talked about alpha-synuclein, we've talked about oxidative stress, mitochondrial dysfunction, and things of that nature. Well, Parkinson's disease involves multiple biological processes, including what I just mentioned: alpha-synuclein aggregation, neuroinflammation, oxidative stress, mitochondrial dysfunction, and there's proof of all of these in current biomedical science and neurological science, and as well as impaired cellular repair mechanisms. Fasudil appears to affect several of those pathways at the same time, which actually could be beneficial and potentially disease-altering in Parkinson's. At least that's the hope. There's 4 of those pathways that Fasudil could potentially help with simultaneously, and we're going to discuss each of those one by one. So first is reduction in neuroinflammation. Now, I've talked about this before, but I'm going to reiterate the point that we have helper cells in the brain called microglia. Microglia are part of the group of cells called neuroglia, which are, again, helper cells in the brain. Microglia essentially are the cleanup crew. They are going to help with cleaning up debris, dead cells, and they basically are part of the immune system within the brain and other nerve tissue. So activated microglia can become chronically inflammatory in the context of Parkinson's disease, and so it's shown in laboratory studies that ROCK inhibition appears to calm those inflammatory responses. The second is reducing alpha-synuclein aggregation. Now, there's multiple pathways we talked about on the podcast about that, but in this case, this misfolded protein could be reduced because Fasudil can help reduce alpha-synuclein aggregation and may improve cellular clearance mechanisms. By the way, I've quoted a lot of things here, but I'm going to back it up by providing the links to the studies that have made these claims. Next is supporting cellular cleanup. Interestingly enough, Fasudil may increase autophagy. That's the body's ability to essentially eat itself, but in the good way, basically cleaning up the things that need to be discarded, reusing and repurposing whatever can be repurposed and reused in the body for producing new cells and healing and so forth. So think of autophagy as the body's and the brain's recycling program. The damaged proteins can be essentially cleared out more efficiently, that neurons may be better protected from further inflammation and damage. Now, autophagy is a subject that's been brought up before, and there are some very specific ways that we've talked about inducing autophagy, namely carnivore diet paired with fasting. And I'll link episodes up here for you to watch on that. But as far as this topic is concerned, ROCK inhibition could also help with inducing autophagy. Fourth and final one is promoting nerve repair. Now, this is only preclinical at this point, but animal studies have suggested ROCK inhibition may support regeneration of axons and survival of damaged neurons. And in simple terms, that basically means it's more favorable for nerves to recover and maintain their connections between each other. The evidence is pretty strong right now, but essentially it's lab and preclinical animal studies. That doesn't mean it's not going to be effective in humans, but it just needs to be said that it's been limited in human studies at this point. But what they have shown in multiple laboratory animal models of Parkinson's disease is that Fasudil did demonstrate reduced neurodegradation, decreased alpha-synuclein aggregation, reduced inflammatory response, and improvements in motor behavior. Often, unfortunately, therapies that work in mice and rats do ultimately fail in human trials, and that doesn't guarantee human success, so it should be taken with a grain of salt. But what I'm going to talk about next is which human trials and studies are happening at this time. There actually is a trial going on right now in Germany called the ROCK-PD trial. Basically, what they're looking at right now is the safety of Fasudil for this purpose, how it's tolerated, and what effects, if any, are happening with symptoms of Parkinson's. Now, this is specifically at this point for people in early Parkinson's diagnosis. Luckily, this is a pretty good study design. It's actually a randomized placebo-controlled trial with 75 participants. So n equals 75 is not a huge amount, but it's a start. And if they show statistically significant differences between the two groups, that leads them to building further research with bigger trials with more people. This trial is not focused on disease modification at this point. It's really helping to answer the early question of, can people with Parkinson's, again, safely take the medication, or are there signs it could actually be helping in some way? The trial is ongoing as of the recording of this episode in 2026. Definitive results demonstrating disease slowing have not been published to this point. But again, it's still ongoing, and I'm hoping that that means there will be more research done on this in the near future. So to kind of wrap things up, the excitement and kind of the buzz that's happening with Fasudil at this point comes from the factors that number one, it's an already established medication, so it's not reinventing the wheel. It's something that's already out there. It could be quicker to be approved by the FDA in the United States, for example, if it's something that has been proven to be safe and effective. Number two, it targets multiple disease pathways that could all help together to help with Parkinson's disease management. And number three, it's shown promising results in laboratory studies. And the important limitations we've already kind of discussed. We don't really know that it slows Parkinson's progression in humans, and that's really a big question mark. What long-term dosing is going to look like, what patients are going to benefit the most. In other words, late onset Parkinson's, early onset Parkinson's, early in the diagnosis, regardless of age, all those questions are unanswered at this point. Also, whether risk outweighs the benefits in this particular case. So that has to be studied longitudinally. In other words, that's an over time kind of thing. And that's not going to be, sadly, that's not going to be an answer that we're going to have in the next year or two. It's going to be multiple years, maybe even a decade. So again, I like that this is an area of research that's moving away from just dopamine replacement and moving towards basically affecting the disease process itself, thinking about ways to help the brain as a whole, and then that in turn being the way that we help Parkinson's from progressing further, or even helping some things that come along with Parkinson's to either stop or slow down. And again, until larger trials are done with more participants, we're not really going to know if it really is worth being something that we use for Parkinson's disease management, or if it's even going to become a part of future Parkinson's disease management. But I'm really happy that they're doing this kind of research and that this focus seems to be happening more and more. I understand it's frustrating because a cure hasn't been found, and there's a lot of people that are skeptical about a cure ever being found because of the lack of profit in that. I am sympathetic to that view, but I'm an eternal optimist, so I always tend to see the hope in things. I tend to see the positive in things, and I do hope that even if a true cure is not found, that some of these things that are being researched right now could make a profound difference in the lives of persons with Parkinson's. Even if it's not an outright cure, if it makes the disease more manageable, if it makes progression slower, if it gives you more quality of life over time for as long as possible, that's a win to me. So for what it's worth, that's about all I can tell you today about Fasudil. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. It doesn't cost a dime to do that, and it just helps to get this information to more people. Leave your comments as well, letting me know what you think about this, good or bad, and I welcome that. Thank you for being here. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. And in the words of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as he was playing Maui in Moana, what can I say except you're welcome. Catch you next time.